Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Ever since I started my fast cooking system, which is flavor chasing, advanced prepping, stir frying, and template-based cooking, home cooking is never a chore for me. It is always fun and enjoyable. I feel that I can cook anything I want, anytime. Because home cooking is more than satiating my hunger, because it is also an exploration. At the same time, my cooking system to help me in make home cooking practical, efficient, and creative. I can cook most of our meal less than 30 minutes. And with the fast cooking system, home cooking is as convenient as eating fast and processed food, with immensely greater health benefit, also are more delicious. As I have mentioned earlier, recently I shopped at a Korean supermarket known as H Mart, which is located in Naperville, a suburb of Chicago. They have an interesting and well-stocked tofu section. Some of them I have used and they are familiar to me, whereas some of them I have never tried before, so I'm very eager to try them out sometime in the future. As we are eating less meat in our diet, tofu has become an excellent substitute for meat. One particular type of tofu that my whole family enjoy is a tofu known as soy tofu puff. A soy tofu puff is a form of tofu that has been deep fried. And inside the soy tofu puff, there has a sponge-like structure. And when you cut them open, this sponge structure will absorb the sauce from the dish, giving them wonderful flavor. To create the texture as well as the flavor of the soy tofu puff that I like, I'm going to first season it and then I'm going to hydrate it with hot water. So first I'm going to season it with a small amount of mushroom seasonings. And then I'm going to add boiling water to hydrate it, to saturate the matrix. The hot water will also soften the texture of the soy tofu puff. And I'm going to drain off the excess water before I'm going to cook with them. I'm going to cook the soy tofu puff with some bok choy, which I purchased from H Mart, and I have it prepped already to go. And if you would like to know how I prep the bok choy, you can take a look at this video. I have some king oyster mushroom that I purchased from H Mart as well, and it is also prepped and ready to go. This video will provide a brief instruction on prepping the king oyster mushroom. The last vegetable ingredients I'm going to add to this dish is some Japanese eggplant. They are part of my advanced prepping and all ready to go. The last ingredient to add to this dish is some Chinese sausage. Chinese sausages has become popular in this country, and you might want to give it a try. I'm going to use 1.5 of the Chinese sausages, and I'm going to cut them up into thin slices. You can cook them in many different ways, and normally people steam them, but I find that stir-frying them also work very well. You don't need very much in a dish like this. I use them mainly as a condiment. And together with the tofu, they provide a good source of protein. Once you have the ingredients, you can cook this dish anytime you want, and it takes only about 8 minutes to cook. I really enjoy this dish because of the contrasting flavor and texture presented by different ingredients in this dish. To me, one great thing about a dish like this, because there are so many different ingredients in the dish, you will never get bored by eating just 1 or 2 ingredients. I'm going to cook this dish in my Cuisinart 14-inch stainless steel wok. I'm going to start out with about 2 tablespoons of canola oil. To cook this dish, seasoning the wok is not as important as if you were cooking a dish with eggs or with meat. So what I'm going to do is what I would call a spot seasoning light approach. I'm going to heat up the wok until it starts to smoke gently. Then I'm going to start to cook right away. For this dish, I'm going to start out by sauteing some fermented black soybean. I'm going to use about 1 tablespoon. It is a great seasoning condiment and my wife really loves it. And you can take a look at this video for more information. I'm going to saute it for about 10 to 15 seconds. And then I'm going to add the Chinese sausage to the wok. I add the Chinese sausage right in the beginning because they are not cooked. So it takes a little bit of time to cook them. And I want to make sure I cook them well. So I add them right away. Next, I add the ingredients that will take some time to cook. And that is the eggplant. I used to not like eggplants at all, but only after I realized how to cook them properly, eggplant has become my favorite vegetable. I always have some eggplants in my advanced prepping, and eggplant has excellent shelf life. And when you cut them up and store them in plastic container, they will last up to 7 to 10 days. I use the variety of eggplant frequently known as Japanese or Chinese eggplant. They have an elongate shape, and the skin is a bit thinner, so you don't need to peel them. The color of the skin definitely is an indication of the nutritional value. Next, I add about 5 cups of pak choy. This pak choy is about medium in size. They are between the type of pak choy that you normally get in a regular supermarket, which tend to be quite large. And then in many Asian grocery stores, particularly in Chinese grocery store, you will find a miniature form of bok choy, frequently known as baby bok choy. And for obvious reasons, they are more expensive, but they don't actually taste that much difference. So I don't see any reason to pay extra for the baby bok choy. At this point, I keep an eye on the amount of oil in the wok. After adding all these ingredients, the oil tends to be depleted, especially the eggplant tends to absorb the oil readily. So I will add additional cooking oil if that seems to be required. Next, I'm going to add the king oyster mushroom. This is a good example of sequential stir-frying. You add those ingredients that you want to cook least toward the end of the cooking process. During the last time when I cooked this mushroom, I add them right in the beginning, but they seem to be a little bit overcooked. So I'm going to add them a little bit later and to try a different approach. And this is one great thing about stir-frying. You can always change your cooking strategy to explore different possibilities. At this point, I decided I'm going to add just a touch more cooking oil. This will prevent the food ingredients from getting burned. Of course, I would like to use as little cooking oil as possible. Because cooking oil is high in calorie, the least I use, the better it is. However, I also realized that if I don't use enough cooking oil, the food might not taste quite right. So I will always start out with as little cooking oil as possible that let me to get by and add more if I need them. The next step is that I'm going to add some water to steam the vegetables. And my criteria for when to add water is when I feel that the vegetable has been properly cooked with the oil. And one indication is that they are well coated with cooking oil. And I have stir-fried them in this condition for about 30 to 60 seconds. Stir-frying them in oil will take a long time to soften the texture of the vegetable, and this is best achieved by steaming. The approach is very simple by just adding enough water to cover the bottom of the wok. And you constantly replenish the water if the water evaporated. I find a water squeeze bottle is very handy. At the same time, you do not want to add too much water because that will dilute the flavor of the dish. Right here, I probably have added too much water. Okay, now the dish is essentially done. The final ingredient to add is the soy tofu puff. The soy tofu puff is well hydrated, so the only thing I need to do is to season the dish. and to mix all the contents in the wok so I can evenly distribute the flavor in the dish. By this time, I have turned off the heat because I do not want to overcook the soy tofu puff. The residual heat in the content in the wok will bring the temperature of the soy tofu puff to the serving temperature of the dish. And you probably know how I'm going to season the dish, which is my favorite approach. I'm going to use a combination of oyster sauce with 2 tablespoons and 1 tablespoon of hoisin sauce. And then I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of a chili in oil sauce by a company known as La Gama, which is definitely one of my favorite hot sauce. Obviously, there are many different ways for you to season this dish, but the main goal is to retain the natural flavor of the ingredients. I'm sure you will have a slightly different approach. In fact, I also season the dish differently from time to time just to bring in some variations. And the total cook time of this dish is a little bit over 8 minutes. Here I want to emphasize the significance of advanced prepping. By having all the ingredients available, you can cook a dish like this anytime you want. And by having the ingredients all prepped, you don't have to worry about use all of them. You can use them in different dishes, in different type of combinations. As in this case, the bok choy that I purchased from H Mart are divided in 3 different portions. And I cooked one of the portions a couple days ago, and now I'm cooking the second portion, and I still the third one ready for me to try with other type of combinations. This is what is going to make home cooking fun and interesting. Your ability to cook it anytime you want and cook it in any way that you desire at that particular moment. If you'd like to learn more about my fast cooking system, as well as to adopt it, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Because I post a video every day to demonstrate how I use my fast cooking system in such a way that I have made home cooking as part of my daily routines. And I know you will be able to do the same. So keep on cooking. I will see you tomorrow.